BTS News Today. That morning, the atmosphere in one of Seoul's largest hospitals was filled with tension. The shocking news circulated that one of the BTS members, Jimin, was seen rushing into the hospital building, his face full of concern. Some fans who happened to be on site were able to record the moment, and it didn't take long for the video to go viral on social media. However, no one expected what was really happening behind the walls of the hospital. The day before, Jungkook had reportedly suffered a minor accident while undergoing physical training as part of his mandatory military service. Although initially rumored to be only minor injuries, things changed drastically a few hours later. The military medical team decided that Jungkook needed to be transferred to a civilian hospital for further treatment. This sparked great concern among fans and of course his closest associates, including Jimin. Jimin, who was in a separate location for personal business, immediately stopped all activities upon hearing the news. Without thinking, he headed to the hospital where Jungkook was being treated. The trip to the hospital becomes a moment full of various emotions, from fear, worry, to hope that everything will be fine. Once at the hospital, Jimin went straight to Jungkook's treatment room. However, there he received the shocking news that Jungkook's condition had deteriorated during the trip to the hospital. The medical team is struggling to stabilize his condition. That's when Jimin was no longer able to hold back his emotions. He was seen walking back and forth in front of the treatment room, occasionally clutching his head, showing an expression of deep panic. According to witnesses at the scene, Jimin cried and begged the medical staff to do their best to save Jungkook. His voice sounded trembling as he said, "Please do whatever you can. Jungkook is everything to us." As the medical team came out of the treatment room with a tense expression, Jimin rushed over to find out the latest news. However, when the doctor told Jungkook that he had to undergo an emergency procedure, Jimin couldn't hold back his tears. He was seen falling down, holding his face, and could be heard uttering sentences full of emotion. Why did this have to happen to him? He has suffered enough. Things get even more emotional when Jungkook's family members arrive at the hospital. Jimin immediately approached them, hugging Jungkook's mother while crying. The warmth of their relationship as BTS's second family radiated clearly at that moment. Jimin is seen trying to strengthen Jungkook's mother, even though he himself is still in a battered condition. News of Jungkook's condition and Jimin's emotional reaction spread quickly on social media. Hashtags like #StayStrongJungkook and #WeLoveYouJimin are trending across multiple platforms. Support from ARMY around the world poured in, with messages of hope and prayers for Jungkook's recovery as well as strength for Jimin. Other BTS members, who are still serving their mandatory military service, also showed their solidarity. Some of them reportedly sent messages of support to Jimin and Jungkook's family. RM, through a brief statement released by Big Hit Entertainment, said, "We are all on Jungkook and Jimin's side in this difficult moment. Thank you for your prayers and support." After several stressful hours, the medical team finally gave the news that Jungkook's condition was stabilizing. The emergency procedures carried out managed to improve the situation, although he still required intensive monitoring over the next few days. Upon hearing the news, Jimin seemed to breathe a sigh of relief. He immediately asked permission to see Jungkook, although only briefly. In the room, a moment full of grief occurred. Jimin held Jungkook's still weak hand and said in a low voice, "You have to be strong. We're all waiting for you." This event not only tested Jungkook's physical strength, but also the emotional bond between the BTS members. Jimin, with all his overflowing emotions, showed how deep their friendship was. This incident is also a reminder to ARMY and the public that behind the glitter of their lives as superstars, BTS are ordinary humans who face pain and worry like everyone else. Prayers and hopes continue to flow, not only for Jungkook's recovery but also for strength for Jimin and the rest of BTS in the face of this ordeal. Now, the world is waiting for the next good news from the hospital. All hope that Jungkook will soon make a full recovery and Jimin will be able to smile again without any worries weighing on his heart. After Jungkook's condition was declared stable, Jimin decided to remain in the hospital. He refused to leave the location until he was absolutely sure that his best friend was out of danger. According to some hospital staff, Jimin was seen sitting in the waiting room with a blank look, but the look in his eyes implied a strong determination. He waited for news every second, looking forward to every latest development. In the evening, Jimin had a talk with the doctor who treated Jungkook. In the conversation, he asked for a detailed explanation of what exactly happened and what actions had been taken. His voice sounded firm, although there was an anxious tone that he couldn't hide. The doctor said Jungkook still needs time to fully recover, but so far everything is going according to plan. Jimin was not silent. In between waiting times, he tried to contact other BTS members who were still on military duty to give them the latest news. Through an emotional voicemail, he said, "Jungkook is struggling, but he is strong. I know he can get through this. You have to keep your spirits up there, too." Meanwhile, in cyberspace, the army continues to show their support. This huge fan base organized various events to send messages of support to Jungkook and Jimin. From fundraising projects for health foundations to the installation of billboards in several major cities, the army never stops providing positive energy. Some fans even sent flowers and greeting cards to the hospital as a sign of their support. However, the hospital and Big Hit Entertainment appealed to fans to respect the privacy of BTS members, especially in difficult moments like this. In between the wait, Jimin also spends a lot of time with Jungkook's family. Jimin's presence gives strength to them, especially Jungkook's mother, who looks very devastated. At some point, Jimin could be seen talking at length with Jungkook's mother, trying to calm her down and give her confidence that everything would be fine. The media trying to get an exclusive interview, Jungkook's family firmly asked for privacy. However, they expressed deep gratitude to Jimin, calling him an angel who continues to accompany them in difficult moments. Despite being in intensive care, Jungkook's spirit slowly began to return. A few days after the emergency procedure, he reportedly opened his eyes for the first time. The moment was greeted with joy by the medical team and of course Jimin, who was at his bedside. According to reports, one of the first things Jungkook said when he regained consciousness was, "Hyung, I'm fine. Don't cry anymore." That simple sentence made Jimin unable to hold back tears. He held Jungkook's hand tightly and said, "You have no idea how much we all worry about you. Don't ever scare us like this again." With his condition slowly improving, Jungkook began to show signs of recovery. He was able to sit up and talk, although he still needed medical help. The team of doctors is optimistic that he will recover soon, although it will take time before he can return to his normal activities, including his military duties. On the other hand, Jimin continued to accompany Jungkook during his recovery. He even asked Big Hit Entertainment for permission to extend his break to ensure that Jungkook gets full support. This gesture received appreciation not only from fans, but also from the Jungkook family, who felt very touched by Jimin's dedication. After a few days passed, Jimin finally gave a short message to ARMY through BTS's social media. In his post, he wrote, "Thank you for your prayers and support. Jungkook is fighting hard, and he feels strong because of the love from all of you. Please remain patient and continue to send her positive energy." The post immediately received millions of comments from ARMY around the world, all of whom expressed their love and support for Jungkook and Jimin. The hashtag Jimin for Jungkook is trending again, showing how many people are inspired by Jimin's dedication.